and Highmark, who have joined us here as national host sponsors this year. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to introduce a number of special guests who are here this evening. I'd ask that you please hold any applause so we can get through the list of names. Congressman Mike Doyle, who is representing District 14 of Pennsylvania. From the Paralyzed Veterans, we have Bill Lawson, National President, Al Kovac Jr., who's the National Senior Vice President, Craig Ennenbach, National Treasurer, Frank Rigo, National Secretary, Laura Ellington, National Vice President, Eduardo Oyolo Rivera. How's that? All right, National Vice President. Ken Weiss, National Vice President, and Gene Creighton, who's the National Immediate Past President. Also from the Paralyzed Veterans of America family, we have from our Keystone chapter, Fred Tregaskis and Joe Dornbrock. And then from our national office, we have Doug Beckley, who's the National Director of the National Veterans Wheelchair Games. And from my staff, we have Jane Akins, Kim Hiroshi, Elizabeth Allis, Julia Ashley, and Carol Sun. And then last on this list, but first in my heart, my husband, Andy Krager, who's the Director of Sports and Recreation. From the Department of Veterans Affairs, we'd like to recognize Joe Riojas, who is the Assistant Secretary for Operations and Security and Preparedness. We're going to hear from Joe a little bit later. Kevin Secor, who is the VSO Liaison. Kathy Rick, Chief Nursing Officer. Matt Bristol, Acting Director of National Programs and Special Events. Chris Nowak, Director of the VA Paralympic Sports Program. Michael Moreland, who we just heard from, he's the VISN 4 Director. Terry Garrick Wolf, Director of the VA Pittsburgh Healthcare System. Charles Sepich, who is the Director of the Hunter Holmes McGuire VA Medical Center in Richmond. Tom Brown, Director of the National Veterans Wheelchair Games. Bill Leuthold, who is the National Veterans Wheelchair Games chairperson for here in Pittsburgh. Michael Clark, who's the National Veterans Wheelchair Game Program Specialist. Pat Doyle, who is the National Veterans Wheelchair Games Fundraising Chairperson. Whew. Okay, so now we have all of those names by. Hopefully you'll mingle and meet some of these folks and say hello to them. We're going to be hearing from all of our national host sponsors later in the evening, but first I want to introduce you to two of our speakers. The National President of PVA, Bill Lawson. I'm not sure. Come on up, Bill.
I guess it's on, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Gosh, coming up there, I think I just ran the 100-yard dash. So my part of the games is over. I'd just like to say good evening to everyone. I'm Bill Lawson. I'm an Army veteran, and I'm the President of Paralyzed Veterans of America. Whoop. I trust that the next few days will be enjoyable for you all here in Pittsburgh. I'm proud that our organization, Paralyzed Veterans of America, is associated with this great event. I'd like to begin by thanking the Honorable Joe Rojas, the Assistant Secretary of Department of Veterans Affairs, and his team for the strong partnership we have forged to co-present the National Veterans Wheelchair Games over the years, and to express our appreciation to the Keystone chapter of Paralyzed Veterans of America and the staff of the VA Pittsburgh Healthcare System, who formed the local organizing committee for their marvelous work, and trust me, it's a lot of work. And I want to say a big thank you to the city of Pittsburgh for hosting us, and I hope that a lot of the citizens come out and enjoy the games and see a lot of smiling faces and a lot of veterans putting out a lot of effort to try to accomplish something. And I'd like to recognize our wonderful sponsors. without whom we couldn't present the world's largest annual adaptive sporting event in the world. As some of you know, I am from Oklahoma, so forgive me if I quote probably one of the best known cowboys around, and that was the Duke, John Wayne. He once said, "Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway." So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, volunteers, sponsors, and everyone connected with the wheelchair games for helping our participants to saddle up in the face of life-shattering odds. Thank you for opening up a world of opportunities for those who have sacrificed for our freedoms. Our veterans from the greatest generation to the latest generation, all represented here at this week's Games. It is our mission at Paralyzed Veterans of America to open up opportunities for all our nation's wounded veterans. It is because of this mission that we launched our campaign, Mission Able, to enlist more citizens, communities, and companies in an unprecedented effort to empower veterans with what they need most, namely care, benefits, and jobs. Other critical issues involve making our nation more accessible and ensuring that the most innovative medical research is properly funded, opening up a pipeline to new treatments, therapies, and one day, hopefully, a cure for paralysis. While all of these issues are important, so are the adaptive sports featured in these wheelchair games. The games provide the encouragement and motivation for getting people back into life after injury. They are life-changing and represent a unique combination of competition, rehabilitation, and a lot of fun. I want to express our appreciation to all of our national host sponsors, Invacare and UPS, who have been with us from the very beginning. To our newest sponsors, Highmark, the Alcoa Foundation, and Comcast. And a special thank you to two national sponsors who have been with us for more than 25 years, the DeGasperis family and the Rojo Group. As seriously injured veterans return from war, they will need Paralyzed Veterans of America more than ever. The challenges they face with their families will be bigger than any wheelchair game here that could possibly be designed. So as you go home, inspired at the end of this amazing week by our athletes, please remember those 600 smiling faces that you see running around in wheelchairs that you've helped, and the thousands of paralyzed veterans that still need your continued support to achieve their American dream. Help us to change more lives and build futures for America's paralyzed veterans. It is now my pleasure to welcome on stage Joe Rojas, VA's Assistant Secretary for Operations, Security, and Preparedness. Mr. Rojas directs VA's emergency management, security, and law enforcement programs. His extensive military and security background includes 30 years in the U.S. Army, rising to the rank of Brigadier General. In fact, both his children are currently serving in the United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Joe Rojas.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing this evening? Good? All right, excellent. Well, I want to extend my welcome as well as the other people that have for such a wonderful event, 31 years in the running. And from my count, heard a rather low number here. I've heard them as high as nearly 700 entrants for this year. Whatever it turns out to be, I think you're in for a record-setting year, second time around here in Pittsburgh, and so congratulations on that in advance. I think you deserve a round of applause before we even get started. It is a tremendous honor to be here representing Secretary Shinseki and all of the men and women of Veterans Affairs for this very unique event that allows honorable men, women to come together and enjoy a truly unique camaraderie and experience. On the way over here, we saw a veteran in a wheelchair with this tattooed on his leg, the symbol of these wheelchair games. And as I read some of the veterans' remarks about their past experience here, there was a common theme that I picked up, and that was about reunion. And as one veteran said, every year it's like having another annual family reunion. And that's just a remarkable experience that you are giving to these men and women. And in that same vein, I think one of our sponsors here actually has a reunion every year around these. And I thank you for that symbology and the support that you give. And I think it's the Gasparis family, is that correct? All right. Okay, sorry. All right, but thank you very much for that. I have not seen Congressman Mike Doyle here, but if he is, I look forward to seeing him later. And again, welcome to Bill Lawson and Fred Tagaskis for their support and their presence here during this unique event. I'm not going to go through the list of all the sponsors again. You've heard them a couple times. The list goes beyond those that have been mentioned. I have to tell you, though, that it's without your support that this would not be possible. Finally, I do want to comment on, as Susan and I drove into Pittsburgh today, we were struck by the signage, the placards, the announcements about this. And so to the citizens of this great city, I thank you for rolling out the red carpet and doing what's right here to make this a successful event. I was thinking about you individually and this room collectively and the values that you hold. Starting an evening out with the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem, is not something that's done at every event that it takes place here in the United States. You have a sense of values and a sense of giving that is very in keeping with the Department of Veterans Affairs. So I wanted to give you just a couple thoughts. We have a number of things that we hold close and dear as an organization, and one of them is integrity. And it's integrity beyond just being honest. It's an integrity about being whole and complete. If you're an engineer, you know what I mean, the completeness or the wholeness of a particular structure. And that is what you're giving these veterans the opportunity to be, more whole, more complete in their well-being. Also commitment. It is remarkable in this day and age, these economic conditions that we're in today, that you have committed not just the dollars. Easiest thing to do if you have the finances is to write a check, put it in an envelope, and mail it in. But you are giving your most precious resource, and that is your time. And I know you are representing literally thousands of other people who will be supporting these games in the form of volunteers, coaches, and so forth. So that's a value that we hold very near and dear, and we appreciate that you do the same. Also, advocacy. Advocacy is about being proactive, not being passive, taking the initiative to make a difference, a positive difference in other people's lives, and that is what you have done here. And respect. Respect that you show for the veterans who have served in the past, and the respect that you show for what they are capable of in the future. And finally, excellence. Individual excellence, collective excellence, being the best in your case in giving, being the best in your case of setting the conditions for veterans to succeed as well and be the best at what they can do. If this is your first year supporting the wheelchair games, you will be amazed at the courage and the resilience that our veterans possess. They have fought and they have made the decision to move forward and tackle physical and mental adversity to prove that they can continue on a pathway to success. The event that you will see this week will not only inspire you, but remind you that freedom isn't free. You will have the opportunity to meet veterans from World War II, the Korean and Vietnam Wars, the Gulf War, and ongoing operations. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why we can be here in this room tonight, enjoying the food, the beverage, our camaraderie, because of the service that our United States veterans have provided us in the past. May God bless you, your support. May God bless the men and women in uniform today, our veterans, and our great nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson and Mr. Riojas. And now we come to our first networking break. We're going to have 3 breaks for the night. There are some food stations set up along the room. There are some bars that are open. Feel free to mingle outside on the patio if you'd like to go out there. And then we're going to come back together and hear a little bit more from some of our sponsors. Thank you.